Okay, where is everybody? Oh, share screen share. Okay. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Good morning, good morning. Somebody give me a sound check and chat ask Boris. Let me know if you hear me okay. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Karen. Well, I am bruised and battered, but not broken this morning. Actually, I'm feeling a lot better. Um, hey, good morning. Daniel, please post all your comments in chat ask Boris because I don't really look at the Zoom comments, but everybody please say hi to me there. Hi, Subhash. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? We're all having a good day. I gotta. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna let everybody stroll into the room before we start. Got a lot of interesting stuff I want to share with you today, guys. So we'll give it just a few more minutes for the stragglers. Anybody trade anything this morning? Yeah, Daniel, what'd you trade? Oh, Kathy's FX. Aha. Okay. All right. Anybody traded any CFDs this morning? Um, you don't like MT4? That's because you know you are not used to Ninja. Yeah. Well, the tools. Well, that's why. That's why the tools that we use are very ninja-like. I mean, there is. Let me just type this up because people. I bet you half the people don't even know this. There is all this free tools in Trader Tools. I'm just typing this up right now for everybody to see. You guys can see this. In this Dropbox with this password, you can go into Trader Tools and use all of the MT4, MT5 tools, which are very ninja-like in construction. So just wanted to let you know. So you sold Nasdaq 1167. Let's see what Remember, we're not doing any trades. Right here. No, 11. Oh, 11. What did you sell? 11,697. Oh, so you're doing something a little bit more longer term. Okay. All right. That seems to be working for you now. Okay, so super quick review of how I trade. Tomorrow I'm gonna do like a full in Therapy Friday for everybody who's new. I'm gonna do like a introduction of how we scalp on a day-to-day basis. But the setup is very simple for us. We basically use two moving averages, 26 and 12 EMAs. The shorter one is light blue, the longer one is dark blue. We trade what I call slices, which is every time there's a crossover between the two, we get interested in the opportunity. But we trade very differently from how you would think we should trade. Instead of trading, let's say we have a down arrow, trading, taking that down arrow to the downside, we actually look for failures of up arrows in a downtrend, failures of down arrows in an uptrend. We look for the shorts, for the longs to get reversed in a downtrend. And then what we do is in our typical trade, the low of this arrow is broken on a candle closing basis. We would short that's right here, and that would have been a great trade for us to go short. In reverse, this is a down arrow. This is an uptrend. The high of this thing gets closed somewhere around here. Would go long over here. That would be a great up trade for us. So it's a very, very simple concept. It works on across every time frame. We use it on a 1-minute time frame because that's what we do in scalping when we do live trading. But you can, we're going to take a look at longer term charts as we go along. But before we go along, I thought I'd share some interesting behavioral ideas with you that I kind of did myself that may be helpful to you guys in trying to, what I would call, say, control your worst instincts, right? So, I have I set up 2 accounts on futures that in NAS, one that trades super small, that is, the micro account, and the other one that trades the E-mini account, right? And the one thing there's really like 3 things that I consider that need to be improved in my own trading. Number 1 is staying consistent to size. Never do revenge trading. One of my biggest problems was I used to, like, when I would have a small, when I would have a loss, I would go 3, 4, 5 times my size on the next trade to make it back up. And I've very much avoided that over the last about 48 hours by just staying very consistent. I said to myself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to work on one issue at a time, right? And so this issue was that I'm going to just stay on only one size. As you can see, let me just go back. Let's go to custom. Let's just go for 2 days, whatever, last 3 days. You can see I have stayed very, very, all ones. I didn't go single large size. So I would say it's a very, very successful experiment in a sense that I've been able to restrain myself from expanding size. But that's only one of 3 specific errors that I have. The second error I have is what I would call too much trading, over trading. What I needed to slow down, right? And one of the things that I sort of said to myself is that I'm only going to trade 1 trade per slice. So if I don't, like, slice being that when we have a crossover of the moving averages, that becomes a slice. When it crosses over again, it becomes a new slice. If I don't have a setup within a slice, I don't trade it. If I have a setup, my maximum allowed trade, even if, like, let's say we have something where it's like multiple signals, my maximum allowed trade is just 1 per slice, right? That's definitely been a challenge. And then the third behavioral characteristic that I wanted to kind of correct on myself was to stay only to setup, meaning take no trades outside of setup. So here I did something that I thought would be really interesting for you guys to consider. There's basically in both 4 and 5, there are these little arrows, arrow up and arrow down. And what I did was, it doesn't, the arrow up, arrow down in my nomenclature doesn't mean I took a long trade or a short trade. All it means in this particular annotation that I did was, if the trade was to a setup, it was a green arrow up. Whether it was a short or a long, it was an arrow up. If the trade was not to a setup, whether it was successful or not, whether it was a long or a short, it was an arrow down. So success didn't matter, only process mattered in this nomenclature, right? And it was interesting because I just did kind of like the last 10 trades, and I think you'll find this very very telling as to what happened, right? So let's see if I can give you a little bit bigger size. You guys, so this is pretty good visual, right? You guys see it? You guys see the screen pretty well? Just give me a yes or no. This has gone back maybe 5-6 hours. This is really like sort of essentially end of New York and up to now, right? And I was sleeping through all of Europe because my arm is still killing me, so I didn't really trade Europe. But yeah, okay. So this is proper trade, right? We have up arrow breaks the low. I take my structure, and again, the structure that I'm taking is personal to me, meaning that I'm taking. I don't care about risk reward. I don't care about all the things that we do in the room. My risk reward is very personal to me. By the way, my own personal risk reward that I kind of get comfortable with in terms of the minimum I need in order for the setup to be profitable is 3.5 to 10. So I have a 10 stop, 3.5, 3.5 target. 3 was just not enough, right? And that's just not enough, right? Oh, and here's a good example of where Okay, so I think we can start over here. So this was, you can see this. This was a um, false process, positive process. What you will find is just fascinating is how many non-setup trades I took. Bad trade. You know, this trade actually was a stop out, but it's a bad trade because it's not a process trade. This trade was positive. This trade was positive. All these trades are positive in P&L. All of them are wrong in process. Every one of these things is not part of process, right? Finally, I'm able to take a process trade right over here, right? You can see it over here, right? It's the one green trade, right? Then we keep going, keep going, keep going. This is all Europe, so I think I'm sleeping through all of this. There's actually quite a lot of interesting opportunities here. Then we keep going. Again, negative process trade. This is basically a chase trade. I don't even know what the F I was, why I, it looked like it was a breakout. I was chasing it. This, it was nothing to do with my setup. Again, negative process trade. And then this is actually positive. Is this positive? Why the hell is it? Yeah, this should be a. No, this is also a negative process trade. Again, I'm chasing here. There's just, I'm really trying to justify myself. Again, it was a negative process trade. And only finally over here, you see a positive process trade. So you're talking about like maybe 3 actual trades. First of all the actual trades were winners, right? But you're talking about just 3 out of the last 10 that I stayed consistent to my setup, right? It's a very eye-opening exercise. And it's super easy to do. All remember that MT4, MT5 marks all your trades. All you got to do is just look at your trades and just mark them green or red. A little trick, by the way, for those of you who don't know, instead of just having to constantly, put an arrow, if you just simply use the control key and just put a right click on the button, you can just drag this, so you can just annotate it very quickly for yourself this way. Okay. So it's an interesting behavioral exercise. By no means is it going to guarantee you're going to change your behavior, but what it does is it kind of really honestly shows your behavior. You could say, oh, I'm really doing great. I'm really following my setup. I'm really trading my setup. Blah blah blah, and you're basically 30% to the good in your setup. And I think that's really important. One of the things I hate is I'm never going to journal. I am never going to write. Even though you guys know that I sort of I'm a pretty decent writer. I can be a pretty funny good writer. I despise writing, and I certainly never learned by reading. I only learned by. I'm much more of a visual cue person, right? Like I think most people are really process information visually rather than textually. Like I have a horrible time processing mathematical information textually, but show me like a really interesting YouTube video and I'll understand quantum mechanics in a much more precise manner if I see something visually. So it just depends on what kind of person you are. But I'm never going to journal, both because I hate it and because it's never going to be useful to me. But annotating visually is kind of really helpful like this, right? And you don't even have to keep a record of it. I mean, it's not, what does it matter, that you keep a record of it? You're not gonna, it's not like you're gonna measure yourself. The critical thing is what you're doing, is how you're trading, what you're doing, because it doesn't matter what you tell yourself, it's what you do that really matters. So I just thought, this was an interesting assessment. Obviously, I'm trying much harder now to be conscious of this and say, okay, you're doing a lot of chases. It doesn't matter that the P&L was good and that I had a good run on the small numbers. That all of that is immaterial. But the point being is that all of these behavioral modifications are very, very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Sequential. God, now I'm losing my mind. They're evolutionary, not revolutionary. Meaning that they're, that I'm basically, one thing I've done here, the most important thing I did that I'm happy with is I'm staying to one size only, right? One size only. And I've actually made them, I traded my big account, and I traded my big account very well last couple of days, but I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to go back to my big account because until I'm, comfortably habituated um, to single size, I'm not going to go back to the big account because I really need to just be habituated to single size. It doesn't, like that. I'm working incrementally on just one thing, the next thing, the next thing. But it's interesting how the point being is that what you have as a setup to what you're doing as a setup is completely different things. And it's just important to note that. All right, so we'll kill the futures. We'll go back to CFDs. Take a look at what we're doing over here. One exciting piece of news. So Doug has the beta. We're literally going to beta test this live in trading. I have no idea if it works, but the Dougie had created a beta where we can put a volatility filter. Volatility filter here, 1.0 means that if the trigger candle, is bigger than the stop by more than, it's got to be 100% or less of the stop. If the trigger candle is even bigger by a pip than the stop, it will not trigger a trade. This obviously is in decimal points. If you put it to 0, if you put this value to 0, then it becomes false. In other words, there is no volatility filter, right? So it can go anywhere from 0 to whatever, to 2, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever you want to use. The default we're using is just 1. So basically, it means that if the trigger candle is 20 or more on the Dow Jones or the Nasdaq or the DAX, then it's just we're going to pass on the trade, right? Again, we're using the tool to modify our behavior rather than what do you call it? Our own behavior, right? So that's pretty cool, right? All right, you guys want to take a look at charts? We got about 15 minutes before the open. Our rule is to never trade before the open. I'm happy. Let's take a look at the longer term charts, right? On everything that's on our plate. Let's go to the hourly chart. Remember, I said to you I really liked Bitcoin a couple of days ago. Bitcoin was looking really, really good, and it definitely is looking very good. Let's put this away over here. So we got. Let's go to indices, and we'll take a look at everything that's trading. So the DAX 1-hour charts, new slice. There was an opportunity here. Let's see, Alt H. I'm gonna visually. Let me see if I can actually change this. I wonder if I change this. Maybe I should change it to black. What's the properties? Settings. Style. White or black? White. White looks good. Okay. Okay. So new slice. Remember, like sort of my new rule: a slice and 2 trades per slice, and just let it go. So new slice. This breaks the low over here. This is on the hourly charts, right? I want to trade that with a 50-100. So we sell 12,619. It goes up 62 against us. Like, obviously a little bit up against us, but not to stop point. And we want, and then it actually gaps down. So first of all, I think it closes at plus 50 on the close yesterday, but it just gaps down today, and kind of trading negative. If you want to cheat a little bit and say, okay, we have a new slice and new day, so I want to sell the lows here. So 12,441 or 12,440, if you want to use that, would be the closing value trigger for short on the DAX, right? That's the DAX. We're gonna take a look at all the key CFDs. So let's take a look at oil. What's oil communicating to us? Oil is doing a turn, but we don't have. Oh no, actually, sorry, I take it back. Absolutely, we do have a turn. Alt H. So we have this is our second variant of the setup when the price turns back through the moving averages, and we have a sell signal that needs to get broken to the top side. So 4040 on a closing basis, on a closing hourly basis, puts us to a positive on oil. And I guess we could use, dollar stop, 50-cent target to sort of stay consistent, for our purposes, and assume that the hourly candle is going to be $1 in length. That probably would be a pretty decent structure. So that's oil. Gold was looking good, and then it kind of died. So gold did send a signal on the hourlies here, right over here. So we had a new slice. This closed over here. We're trading with a 10.5. Let's just staying consistent to our 100 pip, 50 pip type of 1 hour volatility move. So that went 14. That went to 24 in a couple of hours. Took about 3 or 4 hours. So I'm sorry, that should be a 5 targets. Went to 19. So she went to 19 on in a couple of hours with a 10 stop, and that worked. And now there's just nothing in gold, in terms of triggers. I think actually I'm looking at gold. I think this is a good time frame to trade gold. It's deep enough that you get some moves, and it's not so short enough that it gets herky jerky, because the gold is just going to be such a herky jerky move all the time. Bitcoin, which I loved, right? Remember I told you Bitcoin was really starting to look very powerful. So there was a breakout move over here on the 19th, and now we're just in pure stratosphere territory. As a matter of fact, we could be looking here if, and this is interesting, if we get a stimulus bill or something, and maybe we get a little bit of a profit taking in Bitcoin, the point of point of entry could be 12,750 here. That's quite a lot. It's actually 200 points below, right? We could consider this point, which was sort of broken but sort of not. I would say, I would give it, I would fudge it. I would say that's not a turn. I would wait for another candle that closes below 12.8, let's say 12.845 on a closing basis. So another 100 points down. If we close 100 points down on a closing basis hourly, that would suggest to us there is some profit taking due in Bit, and Bitcoin might be a seller. Dow on a longer term charts looks negative, but we don't, but we're turning back up to turn. There's no signals anywhere here. All of this was all never actually materialized, because the buy signals never got violated to the downside. So just sort of very, very reversal. You could make a very, very, I would say huge big stretch would be if we close 28,345, which is about 145 points from here, and that would be very likely on some positive stimulus movement in the market. We close through that, and obviously with a candle that's less than 100 points in its length, then that would be a legitimate turn signal that we could take in Dow. SPX, same kind of story, but SPX here, the turn signal would be 34, basically 34.50, right? 34.50 on a closing basis would get us. That's actually an interesting turn signal. Again, the SPX, you're not going to trade with 150. SPX, you would have to trade with a 10.5. So the candle would have to be 10 or less. Where's NAS? Where's my NAS? Well, let's do UK. Okay, so UK, and this is where discipline or interpretation comes in. UK had one legitimate sell signal here. We broke the lows over here, 57.64. You came in here. You couldn't trade this with a 50-100 because this is about half the size of DAX. So you really have to give it like a 50-25. But certainly 25 was made to the downside here. Now, remember, my view is that we should trade one signal per slice. That means that one sell trade has already been made, and really the only trade to make right now is the buy trade, right? The buy trade actually triggered over here, but I think this candle was massive. What was the high and the low on this? 78. No, actually, this was less than 50 points. High was 78, low was 43. That's surprising. It's only 30-point candle. Okay, so you would be in around 78 right now, and you know, with a 50 stops, so 28 is your stop, and effectively 5,800 is your target. So that would be sort of where you are. Now you have a better entry here, so you could replicate this trade if you're trading on a long-term swing basis where you are in at 64, 28 is your stop, and 58 is your target, and that just gives you a much better risk-reward ratio. But you know, by no means confidence that this is a good setup, because obviously the setup hasn't continued in a direction, so it could fail. But still, it's a legitimate setup, and you could have taken off of this candle. And that's actually it brings an interesting point, is that if you are looking at swing trades, right, because they're much slower, you don't have to necessarily enter them on the point of trigger if the point of trigger is actually worse than the current market price, right? I mean, if we're gonna stay consistent and say, yeah, we like everything here sets up, whether win, buy, or fail, you know, win or lose, you know, succeed or fail, the setup is legitimate, then it should be legitimate at the lower price as it is at the entry price, right? No, Krasi, I'm sorry. The EA, the programmers in Germany, it's going to be a couple more weeks. I'm sorry, the EAs are not ready because he took a little bit of a tour. So we're just going to trade. We're just trading with the tools. The EA itself is needs a little bit of work. So sorry, I'm waiting for him to come back. Okay, so what else do we need to cover? You guys want to cover some fangs? I mean, I think that's another. It's an interesting look. Kay was asking me, you know, whether I should start looking at fangs. So let's look at Apple, right? Let's do this. Let's do, oops, Apple. Let's do add stock. Google. Let's add Facebook. Let's add Microsoft. And what else do we want to add? Netflix. Oh, and let's add Tesla. Everybody's favorite freaking stock. Okay. All right, let's take a look at stocks just for a second. So where's Tesla on this whole thing? These are all pre-market orders. So we're hourly charts. Again, I like the hourly charts even for the stocks. Tesla, obviously, I don't know if you can, I don't know if you want to trade Tesla with 100. 100 is quite a lot. That's a big stop on Tesla, but you know, 50-25 may not be, you know, maybe a pretty decent risk parameters for Tesla. So, you know, Tesla had so we have a up slice, right? This is really the one issue I have with stocks is because they're so gappy. You're going to get lots and lots of gaps on entry, and this is a big problem because, for example, the closing candle, you know, beats the gap, but it's on the opening prices here, right? On the opening prices, this massive gap on entry from here to there. So, you know, if you're willing to take the gap risk, you can take it here. If you're not, then you can just move on to this particular trade, and then obviously works for 20. What is that? The entry here is 47, so we're looking for like 60, and that's pretty much does it, right? I mean, maybe even I wonder if Tesla we should even trade with 2010. That's probably the better trade. 2010 on Tesla is fine. It's a stock. So if you trade 2010, that's a reasonable entry. There's no failures here on the buy side, so there's no downside trades. Netflix, Netflix not really setting, and Netflix has just been very, very badly hurt by its weak quarterly numbers, and so there's been gap downs, no trades, and what we need for our legitimate trade is a buy candle and a failure of the buy candle. So there's nothing going on in Netflix right now that we can get interested in. Mr. Softy is sort of looking. Mr. Softy, in fact, you could make the argument that what was the high on this? 26.74. That is closed at 216.54. So Mr. Softy did not quite beat this. We need to beat 26.74, which is the high of this candle. So if Mr. Softy opens the day at 26.74 closing on an hourly basis, then I don't even know if I want to. I think I would trade this with a 10-5. So 5 target up, 10 down. I think that'd be like a reasonable trade on Mr. Softy. Same with Facebook. I think any of the $200 stocks you kind of trade 10-5. The $400 stocks you can trade with 20-10, and then they're really large. Oh, I forgot Amazon, but screw it. All right, we're kind of opening up. Let's go look at what's going on in the real world. Okay, so we're opening up. We have big spike in NAS, right? NAS is just spiking out. Positive slice. So here, what we would need to see is a negative candle and a break of the negative candle over the next 5-10 minutes to give us some possible entryways. DAX is turning. Again, I made this mistake before. Remember, I said, "Oh, let's trade DAX on the open." No, I really wanted to see 933. I'm not making any trades until 933, 935 passes. So this could be a buy trade because we're breaking the highs of this, and DAX is extending. Although, sorry, I take it back because I think this whole candle is more than 20, right? Is it? I can't tell. Yeah. No, not quite. 18. It's 18-1. It's actually less than 20. So this would be. It wouldn't stop us on a volatility. The high to low here is less than 20, which is within our stop budget, and it wouldn't have stopped us on the volatility filter. But it's just too early. We know how things can rotate very, very quickly. What's the Dow doing? Dow is popping back up. I'm wondering. I'm trying to figure out if there was. Let's see what Walter Bloomberg says. Blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to see if Nancy said she was hopeful, which is she's just really stroking everybody off. It's not really. I think there's zero chance of stimulus happening before the election, but there are two things that could drive us higher, which is stimulus news and virus news. And I don't see anything either way. So I guess the stocks are just reacting naturally. So we don't have any setups. We just, we have a big extension. We're going to let that marinate for a few minutes and see how things are going. So here's NAS, the DAX. I'm actually curious if we took this trade. This was a close at 16. What was the high on this? The high was 27. Would have barely made 10. So it would have been okay. But again, I'm really trying not to do chase trades, right? Really want to do setup trades here as a potential. So excuse me. One of the things that we've learned from the School of Hard Knocks is that we can anticipate a lot of potential straddles, right? So I think we can go. What I want to try and do here is this is a buy arrow against. If, for example, if the price is reversed completely, this is a legitimate sell because they will have lost the buyers on this particular move. So I'm gonna, we'll set that up as a potential straddle in the open. We don't have any upside reference points in the DAX. And this is a very, 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 very far away buy arrow, but still, sell arrow. but still worth doing just for fun. So we can do this at 09. And we can just drag this down here and see if the sell will materialize. But what we're looking for is a sell candle, which will then break to the upside. The Dow, this just doesn't have any reference points for us to play with, right? So we'll just hang out, see if anything is going on. So I'm actually curious, Karen. You said you got a little. Let me just. We're gonna make this. We're gonna share our. Oops, guys, hang on. I gotta take this. I gotta take this call. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Yeah, Brett. All right, sorry guys. That was literally almost close to. Okay, so we actually have. Okay, before I digress, we have a setup on a Dow. Very very stretched move, but it's still legitimate. So let's set that up. We want to do a buyer above this move. Above this move over here, right? So presumably, and I think I have the volatility filter in place, so it'll be interesting to see if we're gonna need a big rally candle to take out that arrow and trigger a buy for us. It may not even happen. So we'll just let that play out. So we're gonna leave that alone. Anyway, sorry guys, that was my banker. We're finally going to be able to close on this miserable house, which is literally, if you guys know my saga, it's been going on for a month and a half because everybody's trying to buy a house in America and they've been so backed up. So that's good news because now I can actually focus on trading because I've been driving Kathy crazy, dealing with all this stuff. So a lot of my focus is going to be on trading now that I can get rid of this miserable thing. So that's good news. Anyways, let me bring you guys into the conversation. So we're basically looking. Let me just make sure that I'm proper on this. What's the highs over here? 82.4. I guess we could just say 83. I like to round it out to round number. It's fine. We just go to 83. Right. That's the operative break. We gotta break that to the high side in order for the Dow to be legitimately traded. Did I leave a? Yeah, we have a NAS all the way to the bottom that's doing nothing. The DAX has got a sell to the bottom, and the upside is showing me nothing. So we're kind of we're floating. There's not much. The opening rotation today is sort of very very slack and slow. So I want to just take you back to the idea of trading slices, right? And I'm sorry for using that word, but I find it like really, it just makes sense to me. I don't know why. Visually, I like looking at it as kind of a moving average crossover is kind of it's a slice of price action. Like this is a slice, this is a slice. So indulge me in my nomenclature, but I really like the disciplinary methodology of saying, I'm only going to do one setup per slice, or two setups. In other words, a trend setup and a reversal setup, given our structure per slice. Because I tell you why. First of all, I don't know if you're like me, the single biggest, aside from size, my single biggest mistake or my single biggest trading error is over trading, right? I don't know if you find yourself over trading. And over trading is a function of you just like, oh, this looks good, this looks good. It's like it's like the all you can eat buffet in Vegas. Oh, I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna eat this, and it feels really really good while you're eating it. And then you're just, if you've ever overeaten at a all you I'm actually curious. Does anybody even know what the hell I'm talking about? Because like there are very few Americans sitting in the room with me. Who's not American has been to Las Vegas? Raise your hands. I'm just curious. Who is familiar with this incredibly American concept of orgiastic eating, which is what we specialize in, right? You have it in UK as well, right? Yeah, it is really orgiastic, right? So you have them in UK too, right? So I'm glad we're exporting. We're exporting only the best of our American culture. We're exporting only the best of our culture to the rest of the world. But anyways, in the Vegas they take it to a high art. I mean, like the Wynn buffet is really the greatest buffet in the world. Caesar's now is really, really good. I haven't been there in ages, but all of them are really great. Um, uh, it's a very, very, very funny story. Okay, so this is ages ago. I don't know if you guys know. Obviously, some of you guys know because you've been with us for a long time. I have two sets of kids. I have an 8-year-old and I have 25 and no, sorry, a 7-year-old, a 27-year-old. There's always a joke that I never remembered any of my kids' ages. I have a 27-year-old, a 25-year-old, and a 7-year-old, right? So when the 27 and 20 were younger, they're much, much younger, like in their teens, and my current wife, we weren't even married. We were just dating. My wife is like 5'1" on a good day, right? And she's very, very youthful looking. And in the Wynn buffet, they had like a 50% discount for kids. And obviously, and it's like 60 bucks. I forget what it was, for like, and it's clearly worth it. Trust me, it's amazing food. But we managed to buy 3 kids tickets because my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, was like young enough. She's by no means young. She's very young looking, and we all they passed through on kids passes, and I went through an adult pass, saving myself money. It was the funniest thing ever. But anyways, my point is that just like at a buffet, you can't resist because everything is so good. There's so many good setups on a 1-minute chart. You can't resist, I can't resist, like non-setup setups. So you can imagine how many setups there are that are good. And if you just sort of say to yourself, I'm only going to trade one setup per slice, you create a natural pause. All you want to do is create a natural pause to yourself. How come this didn't trigger? What happened here? Did this expire? Oh, this may have been, wow, that's interesting. Oh, you know why it didn't trigger? That's interesting. So big volatility move, right? So the volatility move here kept us out of the trade, right? Which is fine. Like this should have been a trade, but because this is a huge volatility candle, it didn't trade. I was talking and I didn't see what's going on. So we still have a setup here to the upside with 3 periods left, and I guess we could reset this for another 10 periods just for fun in case this goes up. The NAS now is actually negative, turning negative slice, although still positive slice, and now the reference point to the upside is this. If they can beat this, we'll go with it. So we'll go, let's go 720. Let's put that up here, and we'll put up here. So that was interesting. So the tool actually stopped us from taking a trade. I had no idea what the tool was going to do. So I guess this is interesting. So if the way the tool works is if the trigger candle is too big for our volatility budget, it just cancels the setup. It's not like it continues looks for next trigger candle that has a small volatility budget. So that's how Dougie set it up. That's good to know. Okay, let's do, and we're going to do a straddle on the NAS to the downside too, because a break of this, even though it's not quite negative slice, it's good enough that basically, if we close above, what we're doing right now in NAS, if we close above this, we're going to assume that's going to be a continuation trade to the upside. If we close below this, we're going to assume it's going to be a continuation trade to the downside. And that is our more or less bread and butter straddle trade in the mornings for the New York Open. On the Dow, still trying to pick up speed. Now this is interesting. So the Dow now sent us a down reference point. Let's do this. Oh, what happened here? Oh no, I want to set this up. So 38. And this is gonna be same story in the Dow here. So we have, this is our reference point to the upside, this is our reference point to the downside. I'm not even watching the DAX. The DAX actually has this reference point to the upside that we can see if we can try to buy. And that would be like right over here. Oh, it's actually moving. We gotta, let's see if the DAX takes us through the move. But it's got to be a 20-point budget. Let's see if it stays. Oops, yeah, it does. So it actually, we get long the DAX and the NAS. NAS moved through. Wow, I'm surprised the NAS moved through big time. Where's the NAS? So the NAS took a big move here through this move, and now it's moving against us. Well, you know, we took the trade. A lot of volatility. I guess it was took us into, what was the high on this? High, low on this? Maybe it was just missed the budget. Oh no, it's not. It doesn't look as bad as on the charts. All right, we're gonna stay patient with the NAS, even though it's very, very spiky and may not work to the upside. No, it doesn't look like it's gonna work for us. The NAS just took a big boom. The NAS got topped, and we're out of the NAS. And now the only thing we have is the downside move. And let's see if the downside move provides us with any trades to the upside. Where's the DAX is holding a little bit better, but still underneath the move here. Where's the Dow? The Dow is struggling to the downside. Very choppy price action today. Not a lot of opening range direction. The DAX is working a little bit better. See if the DAX is picking up a little bit of movement here. I'm going to take DAX at 7. I'm just going to take the DAX at 7 because it's very, very choppy. You see there's very little forward action here, one way or the other. What is this? Okay, so this is the NAS again. All right, we're going to go back to the well and see if we can buy the DAX again on this candle over here. Let's see if that candle provides a better entry for us. If this was yet another fake out, if this was a short fake out on the DAX, excuse me, short fake out on the NAS, and then NAS could work this time. Let's see if the NAS works this time. It's a big ups candle. You see, NAS is just a lot of volatility today, right? So, oh, the Dow triggered to the downside. So now we're trading now the Dow took us into the downside direction. And I really don't like this trade, but I'm going to take the Dow here at +4. Just take that because again, I'm looking. Oh no, the DAX reversed. So I faked myself out a little bit. So DAX did not give us a clean upside move. But it was a big reversal on the DAX. I guess the Dow would have gone. Nah, Dow's kind of hanging. So it was good that we got out of the Dow. The NAS reversed completely. Do we still have the sell candle in the NAS? Okay, so this is interesting. Let's see if the sell candle in NAS is working. Is going to work. Wow, what a ugly ass choppy price action this morning. Just very, very little continuity either way. So I think, I'm not sure, maybe the DAX would have hit plus 10. I don't know if you guys are trading it, if anybody took the DAX for a full 10, but it definitely went 7 or 8 into the direction. The Dow was a good idea for me to cover short because I really didn't have a lot of confidence in that short because I still thought that we're going to reverse. But now the NAS triggered a short. NAS could be our nightmare of the day today if it doesn't go. But let's presumably assume that it looks like it's going. It's go. Oh, fudge! I really wanted to hit target here. All right, I'm going to try to be patient with this thing. All right, 7. Fuck. All right, 6. On the NAS, it probably goes to 10. But I'll give it. I'm getting battered by the fake out, and although this looks like it's the right down, it's the right. Nothing looks good today. So good enough to kind of to give us a little bit of juice, but you can see very, very, very ugly two-way price action, just like nothing. Usually the straddle is a pretty good strategy on the open, but today it was just all fake out both ways. And the fact that the fake out was to the upside made me very cautious on the move to the downside. So that's why I got out of all of them relatively quickly, not to full target. So we'll give it a little more time. Let's see if we can get a second wave set up here. Maybe after the first 20 minutes, the market is going to find. Trump is tweeting that all the polls are fake. Okay. Yeah. Really, really choppy price action. You see, so you could, again, this is a negative candle. You could have taken this to the upside as a potential break of this negative candle, and you see how spiky it is to the upside. What do I have here? Oh, this is the reference candle on this NAS. So that's the old reference candle. This is the reference candle that was the turn candle. This is the reference candle that is it's an old reference candle. So it really should not be the trade. I'm going to cancel this up. Okay. We're going to let the NAS settle down a little bit and just try to figure out what the hell I want to do. This is actually, so if we're looking at this is a buy candle in a downtrend. We should really be setting up a sell to the downside. So let's just do this. 690. And let's park ourselves over here. If the tug of war is to the downside, this would be a legitimate, this is a negative slice, buy candle break of that should be a legitimate trade to the downside. Let's set ourselves up for some possibilities. What's on the, the Dow, I'm missing the Dow, I'm missing the turn here. So here, I'm gonna, with 33 seconds left, let me see if I can set this up. Maybe I might be able to set this up. I'm setting this up against this. Why is this not letting me set up against this? Oh, because of this? Okay. So if it breaks the low here in the Dow, right over here, against the high here, and it's not, So far, not. That's another legitimate sell because that's a turn setup. We have a buy candle on a turn that fails. So, you know, if that doesn't work, that doesn't work. But it looks like everything is turning back up now, so we have no trades to the downside. And now we really have to just be, we can't use this reference point because it's not a legitimate reference point. It's not a true, it's a reference point, but it's not a true setup of what we want to do. We need to actually upslice negative, break to the upside move. Wow, what a choppy ass day today. Okay, so the DAX has the only legitimate reference point setting up for us on the buy side. Let's do this at 34. Let me see if this kind of plays out for us. And that would put us right over here, would put us into a buy trade on a legitimate break of this high. Let's see if that happens. If we can actually hold this high, I'm not even sure. Okay, so DAX puts us into a trade. But I'll be honest with you, these moves are so slow. I'm gonna put 6 on the DAX. See if I can, because I don't want to watch it. Okay, it's a legitimate, relatively legitimate trade for us on the DAX. The NAS looks like it's trying to struggle to go back up. The Dow is definitely starting to go back up. DAX is slowly. Come on, European stocks, how boring are they? All right, let's take 4. Let's take 4 on the DAX. That's good enough. Just trying to battle out today and see if we can get some trades in the house. Okay, that's it as far as juice goes to the upside right now. This creates a higher buy arrow. If this candle closes on a buy arrow, we're going to be able to get underneath this buy arrow. But you know, that's a big if. You see how everything is turning around? It's very today's price action. Today's kind of very choppy, uncertain. I have no direction. I don't know what I'm doing. Price action is the single most challenging type of price action for us to trade because we're all about continuity, one way or the other. You know, break of continuity to the upside, break of continuity to the downside, but we're all about continuity. And with today's price action is all about discontinuity, right? So very important to appreciate and understand that, and that's why to trade this with particular caution and really not look to to win huge, just to take as many legitimate signals as possible and then manage them as carefully as possible, right? So this just missed the downside move for us. So we will have to see what this candle does. If this candle stays below the close, you know, we'll see if that works. Or you know, they're gonna yank it back up. Very choppy price action here. Got 30 seconds left in the DAX in the NAS. I'm actually curious how did the DAX materialize? Yeah, it's actually good that I got out of +4 because it's not a lot of continuity. One of the things I noticed about the European indices is they have far less juice than the U.S. indices at this point. Where are we? Okay, so the Dow reference point comes in over here now underneath this. Again, if we fail in the Dow, so what is this? Oh, the NAS does trigger a sell point for us on this particular candle, which wasn't great, but like, let's just give it a shot. You know, I don't love the fact that they bought the lows and brought it back up. It's kind of a bullish candle. So it could just be another fake out of the DAX, but maybe they're finally trying to establish some downward momentum here. So let's be patient with this. And let me see if I can just put 7 on this and just be a little bit more patient on this. Oh, all right, I'm gonna take 6. I was trying to take 6. Okay, 6 is good enough. Only because, again, the price action today is just horrifically choppy. although it may be finally that like at 10 o'clock, it's starting to establish itself. And one of the things, by the way, I noticed, yeah, could I do 6 screens at once to see if it's easier to follow? You know, the problem is I could, and NAS hits full full target. You know, if you were following this, NAS hits full target. So and then it reverses right away. I remember I talked about this, Karen, and I'll try to do this next week. You know, again, one step at a time, right? Just right now, if you notice today, the good thing that I did today was there was no non-algo triggers. All my triggers were by algo, which is my first promise to try to do in live trading, which is not to cowboy my orders. So that was good. I was careful to manage the profits. That was good. We're net positive for the day, which is amazing given how crappy the price action was. And if I go to 6, the problem is, you see, I can't see. You know, with the applet, it's just super hard to do. I mean, I could minimize the applet and see where we go, but I don't know if I minimize the applet, if it I got to ask Dougie, if I minimize the applet, if it remains live. That's actually interesting. Does it remain live? So let's just, well, so this, we have only one setup point here on this. If it does, then maybe I can do it this way for everybody. Let's see. And Dow may give us negative. So let's just go big. So now we see Dow. Does this remain live? Yeah, it does remain live. That's good. That's good. So Dow reverses to the downside, but does not trigger because big volatility candle. Wow. So it works, you know, so it would have worked, which is fine. But if we're going to use the volatility filter, this was a big volatility filter. I mean, I wonder how big this was actually. So what was the high low? Yeah, it's like a 30-point filter. It's 30-point filter, right? And it was, I'm totally okay with the fact that it didn't trigger, because it doesn't matter that it worked this time. It could have just done the opposite for us, which is just this complete reversal right now. So that was good. So volatility filter really works, and minimizing it really works. So I guess we can go to 6 view and just kind of view where everything is going. Is that better, Karen? All right, so I think since I got no clear reference points, we're starting to build slices. So when we look, I mean, I think the interesting takeaway here, and I've been thinking about this. Okay, all right, let me see. How do you get, what is this thing called? Navigator? Oh, better? Okay, maybe we'll do it that way. All right, Karen is being my producer here. She's producing the show for us. Okay. So you're absolutely right. I really like looking at the 6 because I can comment on all of them. I didn't realize, I thought that when we minimized the applet, it was dormant, but it actually can stay live in minimized setting, which is really great. So looking at this on a kind of a 6 screen basis, right? What's going on over here? We have a positive slice in the DAX. This buy candle is the first buy candle. So the failure of this buy candle to the downside is, we would like to have at least 2. It'd be the second, because we want a maturity of trend in order for trend to kind of reverse. Today has been a kind of day where, by the way, that rule really did not need to apply. It seems so choppy that I give up of this. Like we can trade this virtually, and we can say to ourselves, you know what? Let's get big on this for just 1 second. Um, we can just kind of virtually trade this and say, you know what? If they break the lows over here, so this is it. It kind of breaks the lows on. Let's see if it breaks the lows on a full candle close. If it breaks the lows on a full candle close here, would that be a legitimate reversal candle to the downside? You know, we can see if that works. I just put that up as a virtual trade because it's not a true trade for us. The NAS is finally giving us that move to the downside that we had. We took 6 out of it, and we should have taken full 10 out of it. And in fact, this was the only good, clean, legitimate trade, right? And so here's what I think, what I think I want to do, guys, is I've kind of been, watching this for the last week and a half, and really the true price action, like the quality price action for us, doesn't start till about 9:45, right? So it may be worthwhile for us to just start the sessions, these Zoom sessions, at like 9:30 and trade them to about 10:30. Like, I think if we're going to give, since we have that half hour where we're kind of killing time, and then we're so eager to take trades, and then we want to get into the price action, and we may be setting ourselves up for unnecessary risk, right? Today I was very lucky in managing the risk away by taking lots of early exits that would have turned against us. But like, why the need? By the way, this is a secondary, not a primary. This is a secondary candle. Remember, I said to you want to do one per slice, but this is a second per slice, and it's a legitimate buy signal in the DAX. And if I was trading this now, I would have actually taken this. Like, this would be long 53 with a long 33 with a target of 43 here, and that's a pretty legitimate clean, clear upside move in the DAX. I'm actually surprised how the DAX is diverging from the NAS, and the Dow is holding steady. So I guess it's taking its cue from the Dow. But that is a pretty legitimate signal, although it is the second signal in the series, and we took the first signal here for +6, and but overall, there's very little meaningful movement anywhere today. It's a super choppy day, as you can see, and the only clean, clear trend that we were able to get on was the downside move in the NAS. A little bit of profit taking over here, and this looks like it could be a fake out move in the DAX. Again, one of the things I really don't like is when we have, remember, I'm always very, very leery, is when we have divergence in, sorry. So remember, we had like kind of a straddle move. So we had a virtual sell in the DAX. So this particular candle, actually, this is on our virtual sell off this break of the buy. If we close, we'll see how this candle closes. But if this candle closes, obviously at these levels below this red line, that would be at least an intelligent, if not a fully legitimate, sell structure. Although I'm not sure how high the low is. What is this? This is high low. No, it's only 10 points, so it's not horrendous. It's just the DAX has been super low volatility today. Like, getting 10 points in the DAX is a miracle. Yeah, so Kevin, there is only one prescription for over leverage, right? Which is 1. And see, now DAX is finally starting to respond to the sell signal a little bit here. So, like I said, the primary behavioral characteristic that I worked on right now was trading one, right? As I showed in my, what the hell is my thing? This was, let's go look at this. This is last 3 days. In 3 days, I don't care how I did on the P&L, and I did plenty of things wrong, and I showed you, right? The one thing I did was trade one, right? And until I am, and the point here is, what you want to do is get to a point where you can habituate yourself that you can trade back to profitability with just one. And one is a abstract number. You know, this is just simply the smallest size on, you know, the small, you know, the micro account, right? But whatever, one is really a synonym for minimum, right? You need a minimum size, and you need to be able to trade your way back to profitability on minimum size only. And until you habituate yourself to that point, it's futile to do anything else, because no matter how many great setups you take, no matter how well you time your stuff, when you use big size too big for your trade, you will blow yourself up, and that will create just, you know, and then you break every other rule, right? So the first rule is to always control size, and that's what I'm trying to do myself. Where are you guys? Yeah, tumble down effect. I really like that. Tumble down effect is, I'm stealing that from you, Kevin. That's a perfect, you know, it's a perfect description of what happens to us all. So, you know, the virtual DAX worked to the downside. So that was like, there was another, you know, another good clean downside move, right? And again, this is a perfect example of where I was saying, don't force the second slice move. The first slice signal was the right one. The second slice signal already has a weakness of profitability, right? Its potential for accuracy is by its very nature diminished. Now, it could still work, and we all love to trade that, but by its very nature diminished. On the other hand, the reversal signal was legitimate. You had an up slice. This was the first buy signal, second buy signal. So that was a clean reversal signal that worked. If you'd taken that, it was a plus 10. Basically, every rules-based trade today, like there was only one rules-based trade that didn't work, which was the beginning. You know, that NAS trade that we took. There was high volatility, but not so high that it blew us out of the trade before it triggered, and then it just, you know, spiked us out, and that's fine. I would say the only rule we violated there is that we really need to trade 9:45 or later, not 9:35, because it feels like to me like directionality doesn't really set it. The first half hour seems to be just complete jockeying for position, and then we get a little bit of directionality. That's probably because there's nothing else going on except headline risk. And so people are just, you know, now they're getting frustrated with headline risk, and they're just taking everything down. And we see the NAS collapsing a little bit here, right? As it just comes in. And then coming back up, you know, and that's just the day today. Anyways, decent day today. Okay, we managed to I think we're in net 8, net 9 for the day, which isn't beautiful, but given the fact that how crappy the market was, is a miracle in the making. I'll take that. Also, the fact that, you know, my arm hurts, and I'm trading injured today, so I'll take that as well. Love the new volatility filter, even though the volatility filter kept us out of a profitable trade today, but that's fine. It will also keep us out of a lot of non-profitable trades in the future, and that's much more important, right? So anyways, glad you guys enjoyed this today. Any final questions, hit me up. We got a couple of minutes here. Let's wrap up. Paul, you take any trades today, or were you just like, this is fucking insane, I don't want to deal with it? I'm curious, anybody take any trades today? Uh, God knows what is VF? First of all, I never stop talking. We should establish that fact. A volatility filter stopped me from taking. Oh, there was a NAS? There was a NAS. There was a volatility filter. Um, yeah, I mean, Karen, um, it's so you can see today. It's so spiky, right? It's just so blah 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 that I kind of just I take it. I take it as I can. I'm actually gonna tomorrow. I'm gonna talk to you about that particular issue of like, what do you what do you take, what do you trade, um and that's sort of like the next level of habit forming that I think is interesting. I'll discuss some thoughts I have. I am nowhere there. Like I am still at 3.5 10, okay, instead of 10 20 on my own account. But I'll discuss it at some potentially interesting way to habituate yourself to doing 10 20 on a calm, rational manner, in a calm, rational manner. So we'll talk about that. But first and foremost, size, right? So Kelvin, thank you for sharing. And everybody needs to understand that size is first, right? Size is first. Structure is second, meaning you only want to take the setups that are proper, and then take profit. Risk control management is third. It's the least important, in a sense that if you don't do the first two, it doesn't matter what the hell you do with the last one. You're gonna blow yourself up. So size. The As I said, you can't move to step two until you have taught yourself to trade your way out of losses on single size. I realized this myself, and I'm still not there. I'm like better. I'm like in this 12-step recovery program. I stopped drinking for a day, but you really want to get stronger. And that's the reason, by the way. Like I was doing really really well in my big account with single size. So the other, there's this other way that you can kind of habituate yourself. And Kelvin, I leave you this final idea. So let me just kind of show you. It's instead of me talking, it's always much better if I show you. Okay, let me get up here. So this is another small account, right? Again, small account, but this one trades the large. This is 10 times the size. This is the large NASDAQ. And here I was like, I'm going to do a Cortez, right? And basically, remember that what Cortez did when he came to the New World is he burnt the ships. He burnt the ships to give his soldiers or his sailors no option but to go forward and explore and engage with the environment, because they had no way to escape, right? So my view was, okay, if I'm going to trade one unit, one size, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trade the large account on tiny amount of money, right? So again, I funded an account with just tiny amount of money, because if I were to increase size 2 or 3 times on this, I would just get blown out right away. So the very size of the account forces me to trade one size, right? So this is like what I call the Cortez method of trading, where you're burning the ships behind you because you don't have any choice. And it's actually been pretty good, right? Like I stuck to 111. Let me just give you, you can see it. you can see it when I went back to big size. The 12 is actually, this is the last time I did a small size on this. This was small size. But over here, I went 1-1-1 and actually started trading very, very, very well. But I realized that, yeah, I mean, the Cortez is kind of an interesting way of you know, forcing yourself to trade size in one unit. But I don't know if it's durable. And I'm hoping that when I'm trading small on a continuous basis and I can habituate myself continuously to, yeah, this is fine. It doesn't matter if if you took a hit, you can come back from this hit because you've done it 1,000 times and you've done it 1,000 times, and it becomes so habitual that you don't think twice about ever changing size and ever revenge trading. That maybe that's going to be a more durable habituation for me, and then I can go back to the big account with stronger, stronger impulses than what I do now. But it's just two approaches to the idea. What you don't want to do, is put 50,000 into the account and give yourself the permission. Give yourself the permission, right? What you don't want to do, you want to limit this. If you're going to trade big size, right, Kevin, you want to burn the ships, meaning that you got to cut your money in that account to the minimum possible, so that if it does burn, it doesn't, you don't burn all your money. You just burn, because mentally, it doesn't matter whether you have 3 or 30,000 or 300,000 in the account. You're still thinking, oh fuck, I'm gonna get blown out. I'm gonna trade one size, right? And that naturally makes you trading the right size. Once you give yourself permission, once you see more money there, you're like, oh, I have more money, I can spend more money. It's just, it doesn't matter what you tell yourself. If you have it, you will spend it. So, that's another way of setting up. And I think what people do, they make the big mistake. I always have, as you can see, I have 1,000 different accounts. That, by the way, was one of the reasons why I had such a hard time getting a mortgage, because I have 1,000 different bank accounts too. I'm a big believer in lots of different accounts. And that's what almost nobody I see in the retail space do, when it's so easy. Almost every broker allows you to set up a million different accounts, right? So you naturally, what's the word? Ring fence your money by just not putting all your money, into that trading account. I mean, I have like literally 100 times more, whatever, I don't even know, 10 times more, 50 times more capital behind me that never touches this thing, because I don't want to be in a position where I'm gonna go 50 large into NASDAQ because I'm stubborn on a trade, right? So at least that's a good trick to use. Does anybody understand what the hell I'm saying, guys? Does everybody understand? Number one, that every CFD account, especially our preferred broker 8cap, will let you trade it. Will let you open up as many accounts as you want, and that the best way to trade is to take, it's always good to just take a small amount of money always, and leave the rest of the money in what I call the bank account, where you don't, that account it doesn't trade. It sits there dormantly, but the account you want to trade is the one. Don't ever take all your money and drop it into your account and then just let it go, because it's just all going to get eaten up. That's what the market does. The market says, oh, all this money, let me eat it all up, right? Do not feed the beast until you're really, really comfortable. That's actually a great headline for my column this week. Do not feed the beast. Thank you, guys. All right. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Another good session. I come back injured, but I win. All right, so we'll take that. It win ugly, but I win. Everybody have a great day. We're gonna huddle up tomorrow, obviously, for regular 9 o'clock time, because it's gonna be like kind of a lesson session for everybody. It's gonna be a strategy session, and then we'll obviously trade, and we'll try to trade from 9:45 onward to see if we can get better signals, because we clearly are getting better signals. And thank you, Karen, my producer of the show, my unofficial producer of the show, for stage managing the screens, because now I think the screens are a lot easier to see. And this will allow us to, you know, to visually see many more signals as we go. Look at this. We finally, remember I was saying to you, they finally found trend, right? We finally found trend. And now, you know, now we're really moving to the downside. All right, guys, everybody have a wonderful day. I'll see everybody later.